Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching. Leave in the comments what you would like these stories to be about, and let's grow this community together. And now, back to our story. The blade at my throat didn't move. Breath ghosted my ear. Now it's your turn. A whistle snapped the dark. Lights stuttered back on, dim, sickly. The circle of masks didn't close in. They stepped aside, revealing 3 corridors painted with arrows in wet black. New tags clinked to the floor from a rusted chute. Mine skittered to my shoe. 7. Round 2, Crimson Mask said. Triads. 1 exits. He pointed to the corridors. Each path holds a judge. Survive your corridor, or feed it. The one who'd held the blade lowered it. A raven skull mask. I could see a ragged scarf under the collar, cheap fabric, not an assassin's finery. They leaned close, whispering fast. Don't run straight. Judges hear rhythm. The voice was ordinary, human. Then they were gone into Corridor B. I got shoved toward Corridor A with 2 others. On my left, a tall, skeletal shape in a stitched leather mask that creaked when he breathed. On my right, a woman in a cracked porcelain half-mask. She rolled her shoulders like a boxer and kept her hands open, no obvious weapon. Walk, Leather rasped. We entered. The corridor narrowed, walls sweating, floor slick. Above us, vents hummed irregularly, spitting bursts of cold air. My breath fogged and vanished in chunks. The first judge revealed itself when the lights died for 1 beat and came back. A dozen wire-thin strings hung across the hall, almost invisible, vibrating like webs. Porcelain moved first. She didn't duck. She pressed 2 fingers to a wire, felt it sing, and smiled. Frequency sensors, she said, voice flat. Don't touch more than 1. Leather tossed a bolt. It hit 2 strands. A siren hiccuped once and cut off. Something heavy slid in the walls. I froze. Porcelain glanced at me. You're new. Obviously, I said. Keep your arms close. Breathe shallow. Step where I step. We threaded the wires. Behind us, the wall shutters opened and closed like metal gills. Twice Leather's mask brushed a strand. Twice something thumped behind us. Doors sealing, doors opening. The corridor narrowed further until we moved sideways like crabs. At the end, a black rectangle in the floor, a grate. Under it, water churned, a judge's chamber. Porcelain peered in. Flows reversed every 15 seconds. How do you know? I asked. Second time, she said. Last time it was gas. Name, I said. She shook her head. No names. Leather pointed to a timing panel blinking red. Jump on the lull. If you fall, you drown under the bars. He jumped first, landing in a crouch, barely catching the far ledge. Porcelain went next, almost graceful. I counted breaths. 15. The water softened for a heartbeat. I jumped. My heel slid. Porcelain's hand shot out and yanked me up by the wrist. Don't thank me, she said. 1 exits. We moved on. The corridor opened into a longer chamber lined with mirrors, familiar but different. These didn't reflect us. They reflected corridors we weren't in. A child in crimson silk sprinting down a hall. The glowing metal mask swinging an axe in another. A figure with wires tightening around their own throat, like a CCTV hell. Leather hissed. Judge's watch. Don't stare. We didn't stare. We ran light, silent. At the far door, a slot waited. Leather slid his tag in. The door chewed it and spat it out bent. Wrong sequence, he muttered. Porcelain tapped the door frame, listening. 3 tags. In rhythm, Leather looked at me. 7, he said, having noticed my tag number. You go first. I'll set the beat, I raised my tag. Porcelain nodded, already in position. Leather tapped a tempo on the metal, short, short, long. I slid my tag in on the long. The door hummed. Porcelain followed on the next beat. Leather last. The lock clanked open. Judge's favor pattern. Porcelain said, "Remember." "You sure this is your second?" I asked. She almost smiled. "I quit after the first. They didn't let me." The door opened into a circular chamber. At its center, a pillar with 3 holes. On the floor, chalk circles drawn in uneven hands. "Triad finish," Leather said. "We insert or we bleed." The rules were written on the pillar in that same iron-smelling script. 1 pulse. 1 winner. The pillar will choose. We stood in a triangle. No one moved. "I don't want to kill either of you," I said, surprising myself. Leather breathed like a bellows. "Want doesn't matter. Pillar takes 2 pulses as payment." Porcelain kept her hands open, eyes on the ceiling. There's always a trick. "Then find it," Leather growled. I stared at the chalk circles, scuffs, smudged heel marks. The marks were heavier near 2 positions, almost none near the third. The third circle had faint scratches leading backward, like someone had been yanked away. "Stand on the chalk," I said. "Not inside it." On the line, Porcelain moved first, toes on the chalk. Leather followed, scoffing. I mirrored them. The pillar's top opened, revealing 3 rods. Each slot demanded a tag. "On the long," Porcelain said, remembering the rhythm. Leather tapped, short, short, long. We slid our tags in unison on the long. The floor hummed. The rods glowed dull red. The chalk under Leather's feet cracked and dropped half an inch. He swore. Something in the pillar spun, searching. "Back!" Porcelain snapped. "Off rhythm, now!" We stepped back off the chalk as the floor panels slammed down and spikes shot through the circles. The rods dimmed. The pillars spit our tags back out, scorched but intact. Porcelain exhaled. Payment avoided. Leather stared at the spikes, then at me. For a second, I thought he'd come at me anyway. Instead, he picked up his tag and nodded once, almost respectful. A door opened on the far side. Cold air gusted in, carrying the wet metal smell of the main halls. The 3 of us stepped through. We emerged into the central station again. Survivors filtered out of other corridors, fewer than before. Bird skull, child in crimson, blood on the silk, the glowing metal mask, now cracked, axe gone. The porcelain wire wielder was absent. Mirrors had eaten her. Crimson Mask's teeth never changed. Round 2 concludes. Survivors drifted in. The child's crimson silk dripped darker. The glowing mask had a crack, no axe. Bird skull watched with blades loose at the hips. Gas mask wheezed in slow circles. A raven skull leaned on a pillar like a person, not a monster. They lifted the mask just enough to drink from a dented bottle. Tired eyes, a chin scar, chipped tooth, then slid it down. "You're new," they said. "I'm Nia." Porcelain beside me whispered, "No names." Nia shrugged. "It's not my first. Names help me remember who I am later." "Later?" I asked. "If there's a later," she said. "Listen. The judges aren't the worst part. The worst part is the break's crimson mask clapped once. The sound rolled like thunder through the bones of the station. 'Winners,' he said. 'Step forward.' Payment takes many forms. 2 assassins were dragged out from somewhere, bodies broken, masks removed. Their faces were nothing I recognized, but every feature felt familiar, like a dream of someone I used to know. A ripple moved through the survivors. Even the child stopped humming. 'Remember,' Crimson Mask said softly, 'ascend or erase.' He pointed at us, counting silently. His finger landed on Leather. Pulse. Leather didn't flinch. He strode to the edge where a rusted rail met a black shaft. Without ceremony, he pressed his hand to a plate. The station shuddered. Somewhere below, something screamed like steam escaping a throat. "Payment accepted," Crimson Mask said. Leather returned, eyes unfocused, breath shallow. He looked smaller. I realized his hands were shaking. Nia leaned close to me in Porcelain. "Third corridor judge was auditory. People who run fast die loud. You kept it quiet." Good. Around us, the masks became people for a moment. The child removed her crimson silk and wrung blood from it like water. The glowing mask man sat with his back to a broken vending machine, tapping the cracked glass in a rhythm only he knew. A figure in a bandaged clown mask stitched their own forearm with black thread, mouth clenched tight. The bird skull never took their hands off their knives. The gas mask wheezed quietly, rubbing circles into the floor with a gloved thumb. "Round 2 concludes," Crimson Mask's voice said again, this time recorded and warbling, playing from somewhere overhead. "Winners, step—" The recording cut. Silence roared back. Somewhere near the rails, a single lamp sputtered into life, weak and gold. It threw a little light across Nia's mask and Porcelain's profile. Crimson Mask stood in shadow, still and smiling. The lamp clicked twice and died. The station inhaled. Like and subscribe for Part 3.